All right, let's dive into this. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. This game is a phenomenon, and we're going to go deep.
Deep, deep down, using this complete fighter guide to get us there.
It's more than just the basics, though. This game, it's like a celebration of gaming history.
And the roster. Don't even get me started.
Over 80 fighters. Seriously, it blew my mind when I first saw it. It's like every major video game character just showed up for a party at your house.
Wait, they're in this game moment? We all had it.
For sure. But there's a method to the madness. It's not just a random jumble of characters.
Oh, absolutely. It's carefully curated,
Yeah.
you know? A mix of the classics, the icons.
You gotta have those. The OG8. Mario, Donkey Kong, Link, Samus.
Yeah, Yoshi, Kirby, Fox. Can't forget Pikachu. Pure nostalgia, like instant time machine back to childhood.
It's like a gaming history lesson and a fighting game all in one.
And then they bring in the newer folks, you know? Like Inkling from Splatoon.
Makes sense. Gotta keep it current.
But then they hit you with the wild cards.
Those third-party characters. Yeah, the ones you never thought you'd see in a Smash game.
Sonic the Hedgehog. Mega Man. Hold on, we've got Solid Snake in here. Even Pac-Man.
Seriously. I can have Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy going toe-to-toe with Mario. That just breaks my brain a little.
That's the thing. It's not just a Nintendo party anymore. It's like they said, hey, let's invite the whole gaming world.
And that creates this crossover appeal, which is huge.
It's like a celebration of the entire medium, not just one company, not just one genre. Gaming, period.
But hold on, it's not just about cramming in as many characters as possible. They actually put a ton of thought into how each character plays.
Oh, huge emphasis on that. It's like each one has their own fighting philosophy.
Which is awesome. So many different playstyles. It's not just button mashing. Well, it can be, but...
Nope, you're well-rounded characters, great for beginners.
Yeah.
Mario's like that.
Good to know. I'm more of a beginner myself.
Then you got those aggressive types.
Yeah.
Like Fox. He's all about that rushdown style.
That's more my speed. Get in there, mix it up.
See, there's a character for everyone. If you're more strategic, think Link. Projectiles, keeping your distance.
Like a sniper, but with a sword and bombs.
Snake is more about stealth and traps. Oh, and then there are bait and punish characters.
Those sound tricky. What do they do?
Like Villager.
Yeah.
They lure you in, make you think you have the upper hand, then bam, punishment time.
Clever. So no matter how you like to play, there's a character that fits.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then on top of all these unique fighters, they've got this thing called Echo Fighters.
Oh, yeah. What are those again?
Like variations on existing characters, different moves, looks, attributes. Like, think Dark Samus. Same basic idea as Samus, but tweaked.
So even more options. And they don't have to build a character from scratch each time.
It's smart. Keeps the roster feeling fresh, but also balanced. You know what else expands the roster?
Hit me with it.
DLC.
Oh, yeah. The fighter passes. They brought in so many new faces, and some of those choices were surprising, to say the least.
The DLC is where they really got creative, I think. It wasn't just more is better. They brought characters who represented different game worlds, different styles.
And they shook things UP. I remember Joker from Persona 5 getting announced. My jaw hit the floor.
He brought a whole new playstyle, right?
Yeah.
The persona, that rebellious energy.
Totally. Like, they weren't afraid to pull from outside the usual fighting game suspects.
Then there was Sephiroth. Talk about a nostalgia bomb for Final Fantasy fans.
But he wasn't just a fan service pick. That long-range sword, those attacks,
Yeah.
brutal.
He shifted the entire meta.
Yeah.
Suddenly, everyone had to rethink how they approached the game.
DLC keeping things interesting, that's for sure.
It's amazing how this game can be so complex, but also so accessible. Anyone can pick it up and have fun.
Yeah, but then you watch the pros play, and it's like a whole other language.
Right, like they're playing a different game entirely.
Yeah.
But that depth, those layers of mechanics, it's part of what makes it so compelling.
I'm ready to explore those mechanics a bit more, even if some of it goes over my head. Lay it on me.
All right, buckle up. We're going deep on mechanics. First off, every character. They've got their moveset. It's basically their arsenal of attacks, you know.
That's where I get lost a little. I can button mash, sure, but watching the pros, they're playing a different game entirely. So fast, so precise.
Think of it like this. Learning an instrument. At first, you're fumbling, making noise. But then you practice, you understand the nuances.
And then you can make music, not just noise.
Exactly. In Smash, you start to see the combos, the timings. It becomes beautiful almost.
Yeah.
But let's break it down. Remember those smash attacks I mentioned?
Yeah, the heavy hitters, the ones you charge up.
Those are your KO moves a lot of the time. Slower than basic attacks, but man, they pack a punch.
I always think of like holding down the button, building up power.
You got it. And each character's smash attacks are unique, right? Catered to their style. Some are pure power, like Ganondorf's Warlock Punch.
You don't want to get hit by that.
Others are about speed, or hitting that sweet spot for extra damage. Marth is a good example, his tipper mechanic. But gotta talk about special moves.
Now, those are flashy. They really show off each character's personality.
It's not just about the looks, though. Special moves add a whole layer of strategy.
Link, with his bombs, arrows. Kirby's inhaling enemies and stealing their powers.
Pikachu electrifying everything. But each one has a purpose. Those bombs. Link can use them for spacing, for traps, even recovery.
Recovery. That's where things get really technical, right? When you get knocked off stage.
Every character's got moves to help them get back to the stage. Crucial part of the game. Mastering your recovery. Essential.
I've seen some crazy recoveries. Players pulling off these maneuvers, like defying gravity.
That's where stuff like directional influence comes in.
Yeah.
DI, for short.
Oh, that one sounded way over my head before. Explain it like I'm 5.
Imagine you get launched upwards. With DI, you can nudge your character's direction a bit.
So you don't fly off the top of the screen.
Exactly. It's small, but it can save your life in a match. It's like this hidden layer of control. You're being launched, but you still have some say in where you go.
Whoa. So even when you're on the defensive, you can be strategic.
That's the beauty of it. And that's just one example. We haven't touched on edge, guarding, tetching, wave dashing.
Slow down, slow down. I need a minute to process all this.
No worries.
Yeah.
The point is, there's so much depth to this game. Beneath the surface, it's a whole world of complex mechanics. It's why the competitive scene is so intense.
Which brings us to esports. We got to talk about that. You mentioned it earlier, and I can tell you're excited.
It's more than just reflexes, you know? It's mind games, prediction, knowing the matchups inside and out. Like high-speed chess, but with way more explosions.
I can see that. I mean, just remembering all the characters, the moves, the stages.
A lot to keep track of, right? That's why a lot of pro players specialize. They master one character inside and out.
Like becoming a black belt, but in, like, Pikachu Jitsu or something?
Ha-ha! I like it. And the community is huge on sharing knowledge, analyzing matches. It's collaborative.
So it's not just about individual skill, it's about pushing the whole scene forward together.
Well, exactly. And then, remember how we talked about DLC shaking things up?
Yeah. What was that example you had?
Kazuya from Tekken. He came in with a totally different style. Precise inputs, combos. People had to adapt.
So the DLC doesn't just add characters, it changes the whole way the game is played.
Keeps things fresh, keeps people guessing. You never know what's going to happen next. And the tournaments.
Before we go there, though, this all sounds so complicated. Is it overwhelming for new players?
It can be, sure. But that's the cool thing about Smash. You can enjoy it on different levels.
So I can still button mash with my friends, even if I don't know all the fancy tech.
Of course. It's fun at its core, but if you want to go deeper, the
Right.
challenge is there. You choose your own adventure.
Love that. Okay, enough teasing. Let's talk tournaments. This is where it all comes together.
The energy is incredible. Crowds going wild, players battling it out on the big screen. You ready to see what this game looks like at the highest level?
Absolutely. Let's go. Okay, we've covered so much ground. The roster, the characters, the wild mechanics.
But now, it's time for the main event. Esports, where it all comes together.
This is where Super Smash Bros. Ultimate goes from party game to serious business.
It's fascinating to watch. You know, it's not just about being fast. It's about strategy, reading your opponent, knowing the matchups.
Like you got to predict what they're going to do before they do it.
Exactly. And the stage hazards, the items, it's a lot to factor in.
My head's spinning just thinking about it.
That's why a lot of pros specialize, right? They
Yeah.
pick one character and become masters of that
I
style.
feel like, okay, I'm going to be the best Link player in the world or the best Pikachu or whatever.
And they study, they practice, they break down the game. But there's a lot of community support, too. Players share knowledge, analyze matches.
So it's not just about beating each other. It's about pushing the game forward as a whole.
Absolutely. That's what's so cool about the Smash community. It's collaborative.
Speaking of pushing things forward, remember how we talked about DLC changing the game?
Oh, yeah. It's like throwing a curveball every time they release a new character.
What was that example again?
Kazuya from Tekken brought a whole new fighting style to Smash based on combos and timing. Everyone had to adjust.
So it wasn't just about adding another fighter. It made people rethink the whole pretty game.
Exactly. Keeps things fresh, unpredictable. And that's what makes the competitive scene so exciting.
The tournaments must be wild. What's the vibe like?
Electric. Imagine a packed arena, everyone cheering, The best players in the world battling it out.
Must be a lot of pressure on those players, huh? Thousands of people watching their every move.
And the skill level. Mind-blowing. The decisions they make in fractions of a second. It's insane.
It's kind of amazing how this game evolved, right? From party game to global esports phenomenon.
It shows you how much depth it has. It can be fun for anyone, but there's this whole other level to it.
So what would you say to someone who's thinking, hey, maybe I want to try competitive Smash?
Don't be intimidated. The community is super welcoming, and there are tons of resources out there.
Yeah, you don't have to be a pro to enjoy the competition.
There are tournaments for all skill levels. And hey, who knows? Maybe you'll be the next champion.
So to wrap things up, what's the one big takeaway you want our listeners to remember about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate?
It's more than just a game. It's a celebration of gaming itself. And it brings people together.
Whether you're playing casually, competitively, or just appreciating the history, it's got something for everyone.
It's always evolving, always surprising. So pick up a controller, find a character you love, and get smashing.
And that's our deep dive. Hope you enjoyed it and maybe learned a thing or two. Until next time, keep on gaming.